Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's project is going to be these fabric stacked pumpkins. They're easy and you can customize them however you would like. I got my fabric from Walmart. Here's a price comparison. These are a pair that you can order from Country Door magazine. They're $40. Mine costs less than $6 to make. They don't take long at all, and you don't need any special equipment. I used what's called fat quarters from the fabric department in Walmart. These were 97 cents a piece. Just get coordinating fabrics that you like. I got decorator needles. They have to be long for this project, and you'll see why. They came in varying sizes. Here's the top pumpkin already made. You'll need 3 pieces of fabric. The dimensions are on the screen here. And you start by folding your fabric, the good side facing each other. You fold it in half, and you either hand sew or machine sew a seam to sew it into like a tube. And you can see here on this piece. And then you take your fabric, you keep it wrong side out, and you just get a regular needle and thread and do the little in and out stitch. No precise sewing here, just in and out, because all you're eventually going to be doing is going around the whole piece here and pulling it tight. And that'll be the bottom of your pumpkin, and you'll see how that comes together. Now when it gets to the end, you just want to pull it tight, and I run my needle through the bottom a few times to tie it off, just for the extra insurance that it's secured. And then you can cut off any strings and turn it right side out. So you can take stuffing from an old pillow, you can buy stuffing, you can unstuff an old pillow. I had old stuffing from an old couch cushion, I believe it was, and I just kind of broke it up and softened it up, and I used that. Now I'm only doing the middle-sized pumpkin today. I've already done the smallest one for the top and the biggest one for the bottom. Once you get it stuffed pretty full, you gotta pack it, but not super tight. You do that in and out stitch again all around the top. And eventually you're gonna squeeze all the fabric together again and tie it off real well. Again, these parts won't be showing once it's all assembled, so being very neat isn't required. Your stitches can be big, they can be small, just as long as it's all gathered up and squeezed tight. Tie it off really good. Again, I drag my needle through the layers a couple times and tie it off tight. And cut off your extra strings. And this is the part where you're going to need your very long needles, and you're going to need a lot of thread. And I double up my thread. It's got to be very long, and inevitably you will have to reload your needle because it's hard to tie off thread with a really long needle, so you have to leave yourself a lot of room to be able to tie these strings off. I start at the top, and I go through a piece of fabric just to get the thread really grounded in there, and then you pull it all through the bottom, bring it up back through the top again, and pull it nice and tight, and that makes your indents in the sides for your pumpkin. And this is why you need your long needles. I usually make about 5 indentations. On these smaller ones, I did 5 on each one. On the larger one on the bottom, I did 7 indentations. And when you're running short of thread, just tie it off real good and reload your needle until you get all your little indentations made. You can use coordinating thread color to your fabric, but you don't have to. In my case, I didn't bother doing that because I'm going to be covering my thread up with jute. These are so fun and versatile. You can use fabric from an old sweater. You can use flannel shirt fabric. Just cut a piece out of an arm, out of an old flannel shirt you're not using any longer, or sweater. You can use string to make the indentations, or yarn. They're fun, they're not hard, they're just kind of relaxing to sit there and do. Once you're done making the indentations that you want to make, just tie it off real tight again and cut off your extra strings. And as you can see here, it looks like a little pumpkin. Now to cover up my thread, I used some hot glue, and like I said, I cut pieces of jute and I just glued them down and pulled those indentations a little tighter as I placed the jute on. And I used jute on all 3 of my pumpkins just to make it more of a uniformed piece, but you don't have to do that. I used the hot glue because it dried very quickly. I did try using Mod Podge, but it takes too long to dry and your string or your jute or whatever you're using slips around, so I just chose to use hot glue. And it stays just fine. So I had an old branch in my stash and I used the leaves off of it, just from my fake flowers. I just found these leaves, I thought they looked nice, and I incorporated them between the pumpkins. But you could use fabric leaves, you could cut them from felt if you wanted. You don't have to put leaves on. I just like the way these looked. These greens also had this brown wire that was holding them together, so what I decided to do was to make little loops out of the wire because it was nice and stiff, but it was easily bendable too, and I made them sticking off the top of my pumpkin, which I thought were really cute. I did try putting my pumpkins together with double-sided tape, it didn't hold well, so essentially in the end I ended up hot gluing my pumpkins together. For my stem, I also used twigs off the same piece from my floral stash, and it was just twigs I broke up. I hot glued them all together, and then I wrapped them in the same jute I had put around the pumpkins, so it kind of made it all uniformed. And I just hot glued the stem onto the top. I really liked the way the twigs and the jute looked together, so I left the twigs showing. Just gave it a nice little rustic look. And you can't see it, it's off camera, but I am wrapping another piece of that wire into loops just to stick off the top of the pumpkin. And here's where I attempted to use the double-sided tape, but it just did not have enough stick to hold them together. After which I decided just to use my hot glue. And here's my finished project. I just love it. I think they're so cute and they're so versatile. So if anyone else out there does anything like this or does a little stack of pumpkins, please leave me a picture. I'd love to see it. Thank you so much and have a great day.